All right, before we roll into this week's episode, just want to say, if you haven't already, go and listen to part 1 of this discussion. That is the Faith No More, The Real Thing album discussion, where Jason and I picked our least favorite or the worst song of The Real Thing. That same discussion now takes place for Angel Dust. Just like how part 1 ended sort of abruptly, because when we originally recorded, we didn't think it was going to be a double episode, but it was big enough that I think it warranted a breather, time for people to marinate in our discussion and see how we do things before we tackle what we both feel is the greatest Faith No More album ever made, let alone one of the greatest albums ever made in music history. And if you don't agree with that, then I don't even know why you're listening to this episode. I'm going to give a little teaser here. Jason and I don't agree as much as we did in part 1 as we do with our choices in part 2. So stand by for that. Just want to give a special shout out and thank you to the Facebook group Faith No More Followers. They gave us a plug on their show, which gave a nice little bump to our podcast. We are very, very, very grateful. And we're a very small podcast. Our listenership is just enough where we wonder why we do the show. It's that small. Thank you to all those who do listen and who listen to part 1. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, go back and listen to it. Because part 2, like I said, just kicks off right away, almost like in the middle of a sentence, because we start talking about Angel Dust right away. So that's where this one will lead into. So again, thank you. If you have recently subscribed to our podcast because you've enjoyed our Faith No More discussions, I encourage you to go back and listen to other episodes. I hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoy the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to listening to this again myself, because this Angel Dust discussion is quite good. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. And here we go. Cue the intro.
Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it. So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason.
And what will transition to Angel Dust, but another thing I want to point out about these albums is the production value. So the production value of both these albums, but let's just finish off the production value of that album, The Real Thing. It sounds like it could have been done yesterday. And there'd be very little really that you would want to change on it.
My question is, and I've heard albums from bands that I've enjoyed throughout the years with like releases in the 2000s and now the 20 teens or whatever, artists who have had success in other bands or what have you. I'm always surprised about sometimes how bad some productions sound. I'm like, why is it so hard to have a good sound? This was 1989 and they figured it out then. Why can't bands have a high-end production? Like, does it just cost that much more money to sound? I don't mean overproduce. Just make it sound good.
Yeah, sound like you actually used an equalizer in the studio.
Yeah, I've heard some artists who are big time artists, flat. And I'm like, why does this not why is everybody playing in a tin can? I don't know. All right.
Now, having said that, Angel Dust.
Yeah,
it takes this production, not just the things that they did, but the sound that they were able to get. I think if I had to say the best produced album, I'm not talking about the best albums of all time. I'm talking about the best produced albums. I honestly think Angel Dust has got to be the top 2 or 3 albums in music for production value. They have so much going on, but yet it sounds everything. You can hear everything. The Real Thing, you can hear the bass, you can hear the drums, you can hear the guitar, you can hear the synth, you can hear Mike Patton. You can hear everything distinctly, and the way that it's put together is amazing. And then they took it to a whole new level with Angel Dust. It's got to be one of the best produced albums, technically produced albums of all time. top 3 or 4 in my books.
If I had to do a top 5 album, this would be on there somewhere. Like you can only take 5 albums with you to the next life. Angel Dust has to be on there if you know what's good for you. We're not subject matter experts, and we don't claim to know the history of everything. However, we know that Mike Patton was part of that experimental high school group called Mr. Bungle, and Mr. Bungle released their debut album after The Real Thing. And so people that were fans of The Real Thing, and if Mike Patton in that, were like, oh, Mike Patton's got another band called Mr. Bungle, and myself included at the age of 15 when it came out, I thought, oh, Mr. Bungle's debut album. And I remember listening to Mr. Bungle, I'm like, what in the world is this? It was completely insane. And I know that it has a following, and I can listen to it now as a mature adult and understanding music and how it works and stuff. But as a teenager, I didn't understand it, and I didn't get it, though I always appreciated Mike Patton's insanity as a person. What I think happened with Angel Dust is he took his Mr. Bungle type, or the Mike Patton that he is, and now he's like, hey guys, I'm now here not just for the lyric writing. I'm now a member of the band. My creative juices are now going to mix with yours, and we're going to create something a little bit different. And it was a natural thing. It wasn't him saying this. I think it was just they were saying, hey, Mike, come on in and join the creative process with this album. And I think they, as a band, with this, because these band members, this is their 4th album. They were probably like, let's change it up a little bit. Let's have a little bit of fun, and let's get Mike's input on this. And then lastly, this is where Jim Martin was like, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate.
Yes.
I think for the band and for the sound and the image, because even Jim himself had that unique look to him and that unique guitar sound. Talking about Mike Patton's stamp on this album, I would like to know what they would consider his stamp, because I'm looking at the music. He really only, as far as the music goes, he wrote lyrics for every album. I'm sorry, for every song. But his musical is like 4 songs. I'm reading 4 or 5 songs, music-wise.
Well, we can go through when we go through each song.
Sorry. I'm just looking at the track list, and I didn't quite catch his name, but he actually did, yeah. His hand is on every song. Yeah,
well, we can go through it quickly, and you can see which songs are more Patton songs, and for obvious reasons, how they sound. Well, let's just get into it, because it starts off with Land of Sunshine. Land of Sunshine is such a great, fun song, and it's a great track opener, and it's a nice way for the Faith No More fans of The Real Thing say, oh, great, a new Faith No More album, here we go. So they listen to this, and they're like, yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense, what I'm hearing right now. And it does make sense. And we'll get into how quickly it stops to make sense right after that song.
Like I talked about The Real Thing, and I remember on my scout trip listening to it over and over again. So by this time, we had our ghetto blaster. Remember our ghetto blaster that we bought?
It was a Hitachi, was it?
The Hitachi had the double tape deck.
Double tape deck. You knew double tape deck, man. So you could record tape to tape, and CD to tape. When you were able to record CD to tape, you were just like, your Sony Walkman became an MP3 player.
Yeah, we were able to do our own track listing.
Playlist.
Yes, right. We did our own playlist,
and then we had to go buy the longest mixtapes we could find. Like, remember you could buy like 100-minute tape.
Being able to record onto those tapes, yeah, it was like a mind-blowing experience, because you could just do your greatest hits, whether it's all the love songs or whatever, your mixtapes that you can. Oh, this is the romantic mixtapes.
Yeah, that's right. The slow song with the girlfriend's in the car. You play the GNR ballads. Then when it's your buddies, you're playing all the hard stuff. Yeah.
So anyway, I remember grabbing the CD, going into my room. I still can visualize myself, Ryan, right now. I'm reliving it. I put the CD into the Hitachi Ghetto Blaster that me and you bought. Remember the times when you used to actually open and look at the booklet and read?
For young listeners, this was 1991. This was 28 years ago. The aesthetic.
92, right?
Sorry, my bad. So this was 1992, 28 years ago, and the aesthetic of holding the CD and opening up the liner notes, reading on the liner notes who wrote what, the lyrics and music by so and so. I remember being a teenager, really taking into account, who wrote what.
We were invested,
yeah,
completely invested in what we were listening to, what was being sung, why they were singing what they were singing, all of it. It wasn't just, I want to just have this music that's just Like a lot of the lyrics today in pop songs and stuff, how much is repeated? They probably got like 5 lines and they just repeat those 5 lines in a song over and over and over again. No real chorus, no real beginning, middle, and end. Song structure is pretty simple nowadays for most pop stuff that you hear on the top 40. But these musicians are committed to their craft. There's a reason why they do everything. There's a reason why they have the track listing the way that it is. It makes sense to them. And we desperately wanted to get into their heads. We desperately wanted to understand why they wrote the lyrics that they did, try to somehow gain an understanding of these people that we admired so much and gave us so much fun and happiness in our own life and entertainment. I remember lying on the floor, the CD booklet in front of me, pushing play from beginning to end, and I was in shock. And it started with Land of Sunshine, and it didn't stop.
But Atlanta Sunshine, and we're thinking, okay, here we go. You know, this is a Faith No More album. All in all, it's what we could expect when a band matures. Second album with Mike Patton. This song, a natural progression.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. Gone Right Away is the nasal. There's so much going on there.
Oh, right off the bat, I have chills, Ryan.
Yeah.
I have chills. His vocals are already up, down, slow, fast.
Yeah. He does that Mike Patton's, I don't know what to call it, but
the way he phrases it.
Then he does the cackle laugh, that maniacal laugh, and then he does the almost jovial sing and rejoice. Everything is just, it's a circus.
We're what, 30 seconds into the album?
1 minute. It's 1 minute to this album.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. And this is more than just a progression. This is a massive leap. Strong song structure, vocalization of the lyrics, the phrasing, the samples already are in there. Yeah, right off the bat. You know, you're going from the real thing to this.
You're taking it to a different place.
Completely.
What I meant by natural progression too, though, is what I was saying. It's a leap above.
You're not surprised.
You're not. Yeah, you're like this.
Surprised.
Yeah. Yes, this was their second single. So their first single, and we'll get into, was Midlife Crisis. So their second single was Land of Sunshine, but this could have easily been their first single, and it would have just worked just as well. The second track on this album, Caffeine, fan favorite, rightfully so, concert favorite. But when we first heard this in our tender young ages of teens in 1992, I would have been 17, you would have been 19. We were very seasoned metalheads. And at this time, we should also note that we went back and got the back catalog of Chuck Mosley's Faith No More. And I remember enjoying those quite well.
We reversed engineered our fandom of Faith No More. I mean, we were introduced with The Real Thing and then went back not knowing that they had 2 other albums. We just weren't exposed to that or knew that was.
Yeah, there's no internet back then. We didn't know. We just picked up these albums like, oh, it's a different singer. As the Chuck Mosley syndrome will do, you're like, what? That's not Patton. But then once you recognize, hey, this is just good music with a different singer, different style, different attitude, it's just fun music. And especially the Introduce Yourself album has some incredible songs. Chinese Arithmetic and Song, R&R, Blood. Those are some wicked good songs on that album. Like just amazing rockers. But what I love when Mike Patton does those live, he kind of mimics and keeps the same tone as Chuck would do.
Yeah.
which is a nice way of him saying he doesn't try to just drown Chuck's vocal abilities. He still makes it kind of Mike Patton-y Chuck-like. Okay, so the second track, Caffeine, should note who wrote this, and it's this is what I'm saying. So the first song was written by Gold and Bottom. That makes sense. Roddy Bottom and Gold. They're the primary music writers for every Faith No More song. So the second one had Patton's influence, or Patton has a musical writing credit. It makes sense, as we'll find out right now. So I remember when I first heard this, I'm like, what is happening?
Those poor dogs.
Yeah, those poor dogs. So I remember when I first heard this.
Oh, man, that's so good.
It is so good, but this is a song that grew on me. Because when I first heard it, it wasn't that I didn't like it, but I didn't understand. I was but a child, and
Mike's making you grow up real quick.
Yes, and we'll get to the part of the song that everyone loves. So the part that just blows you away, and I will say to you who are new to Faith No More and might not recognize or understand this music, Patton is about to scream in your ear, and it's crazy, insane. The build up at the end of it, he says, "Relax, it's just a phase. You'll grow out of it." And we all did. We all grew out of being shocked and just ended up loving it. I think he was speaking to the Faith No More audience. I love that. And I heard you say, the bass line.
Yeah, the bass. I mean, just that whole song, let's be honest, neither one of us are picking that as our worst. It's like, there's just, yeah.
No, of course not. No, we don't like to show our hand too much, but
no suspense on that one.
Yeah. Or Land of Sunshine. I'll leave it at that.
I would say that.
I will say this for this album. This one was hard. This was one of the hardest ones I've ever had to pick. You have to pick a song again that you have to get rid of because that's the rules of the game.
Right. Going back to Caffeine here, the very beginning with hearing those dogs, it was a little bit disturbing at the time. I mean, now I know it's just sound effects and stuff.
Yeah, no dog got hurt in the making of the song.
But I actually don't know. Is it true? No dog was hurt?
Well, I don't know. They killed a fish in the Epic video, and now they're beating dogs for this song.
I mean, just the whole thing, right? You have those dog sounds, and it kind of elicits a certain response, and then the song itself, and his ups and downs, and his crystal clear scream singing.
Yeah.
Already, these first two tracks, I don't want to say blown away, but the real thing, like there is such a push.
Yeah, the real thing has parts of the album, Epic, yes. Like I said, that have aged.
Zombies must have been probably closer to this album. Is maybe the closest. Just kind of the.
There's not one song on this album that has an age to it.
I know. It's unbelievable. That's why I think it's one of the greatest produced albums of all time. You could not put that in and go, tell me what year this was made. You would guess 92.
No. I could go to some 22-year-old person who's never heard of Faith No More but thinks they're pretty up on metal or rock or whatever music, show them Caffeine and say, this song just came out this year. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, interesting. Not my thing, but I can see how it got released. No, it was released 28 years ago.
Right. Everybody can kind of tell, like a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah. Sure, as great as they are, you can tell that it wasn't done in the 2018s. Greta Van Fleet tries to change that on us, but
they're not fooling anybody. Especially live. They're not fooling anybody live.
Oh.
Anyway, I don't want to go down that. I don't want to go down that road.
All right, their first single and the third track on the album, Midlife Crisis. And again, unlike what Epic did for me, for whatever reason, well, because the song was just amazing, this song has not tired me over the years because there's just so much that goes on in this song. Sometimes singles are safe songs in a way because they try to draw in a big audience.
Right.
But this song, yeah. So I'll just stop right there before it kicks in. So right away, we're like, oh, yeah. Again, it has that Faith No More drum that Borden's so good at. You just recognize it right away that it's a Faith No More beat. And then Mike Patton takes his scat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat vocals to a whole other level. Your menstruating heart bleeds enough for two.
It's unbelievable. The way he phrases, I'm not sure if that's the wording to use, but the way he phrases his lyrics. There's singing, there's kind of talk singing, then there's straight singing. When he's writing these lyrics, I would love to know if he knows how he's going to sing those lines while he writes, or is this something that he has to come up with later? Because to be able to phrase these lyrics so differently from one line to the next is genius. It is genius.
To give a shout out again to the Faith No More podcast Croissant, and I hope they're listening. I hope they've given this a listen because they're huge Faith No More fans. They explain that process that Mike Patton does to write, because Mike Patton has been asked over the years, what did this lyric mean or what did that mean? He kind of writes his lyrics like an instrument, and so he does know kind of how he wants to sound, I think, when the song is being done. So he does write to how he wants to sound, I think. So sometimes his lyrics don't always quote unquote make sense. He says don't read too much into them all the time because he is using his vocals as a sound. And so that this song, I love how he does that beginning part. It sounds like he's singing inward. I don't know how to explain. Like he's
right.
I don't know how he does it. He makes it sound cool.
Yeah, because he is cool.
He is pretty. He's 23 here, Jay. He's 23 here.
When I was thinking about him and his approach to this music, it's obvious that he is musically a genius, or at least a creative genius. I don't know if it's like a musical genius thing, but he's a creative genius.
And I love about he's weird. That's the thing about some geniuses. Like, he's odd and weird, but he's extremely intelligent when it comes to creativity.
It's the creativity. Yeah, I shouldn't say necessarily musical genius because, I mean, that might be overused too often when we talk about people that we're fans of.
Right.
But it's pretty clear he is a creative genius because he's not just singing a song. He's not just writing lyrics. There's a lot going on, especially this album with all the different sound effects as we'll go through, the different samplings that he puts in, the mix of synthesizer, the mix of the bass and the drums, and then the added guitar accentuating the darker moments in those songs. It's impressive. And then a producer being able to understand that vision and not wreck it makes this an amazing album.
And again, Jim was not happy with where this album was going, the sound of the band. It's unfortunate that, how should I say this? It's unfortunate that his vision of what this band could be like did not fit with his. He says right here, I quote, following the success of their previous album, The Real Thing, and its subsequent tour, Faith No More took a break for a year and a half before beginning to work on the new follow-up, Angel Dust. During this time, Mike Patton rejoined his high school band, Mr. Bungle, to record their debut album. This situation had an effect on the band, since drummer Mike Borden thought the writing process was like the state of a magic slate having been completely covered in writing, and there was not any more room for any more writing on that slate. So we all went and said, all right, and erased everything and started writing new stuff. So it sounds like the band, maybe without them saying it was Mike Patton, but the founding member of the band, Mike Borden and Roddy Bottom, the guys that were there at the beginning when it was called Faith No Man still, it sounded like they got rejuvenated with Patton's creativity. We're talking about creativity. They reached a new level. So they all decided, quote, to not play it safe on this album, instead take a different musical direction, much to the dismay of guitarist Jim Martin.
The only thing I could say to Jim Martin's defense, despite how amazing this album is, it wasn't the commercial success that The Real Thing was, sadly.
Because this album it's different.
Well, it's completely different. I'm not discrediting the genius of the album. It may have thrown people off the trail a little bit. We could see the rest of the history of the band. The next album after this, which we won't go into, with this album kind of maybe pushing some fans of The Real Thing away, and then Jim Martin leaving, the band never had the commercial success that they used to have.
It's too bad. Imagine if Jim was behind this sound.
Yeah, if Jim Martin had stayed, even the next album could have been stronger. Because not every album's going to sell the same as any other album.
No artist is doing that anymore.
Right. But maybe Jim Martin was, I see the writing on the wall. I don't want to see what I had thought it was supposed to be. I could see how this maybe alienated some of our earlier fans. I don't know enough about him. Maybe he felt disgruntled that Mike Patton was putting up with this amazing. Maybe he just felt like he was being pushed aside.
I think if he had been on board, like, oh man, this is amazing. I love everything. I love how everything's sounding. Yay! They would have loved to have him stay on. I think it was just
I think so.
I think it was just a question of they had no problem with Jim's playing or his ability or his love of music. But I think at the end of the day, it was artistic differences. And I think the band kind of chose Mike over Jim. Why wouldn't they? Mike's a star. He's a star. There's only so many Mike Patton. There's only so many type of front vocalists that just exude what Mike Patton does. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, and the reality is Jim isn't fooling anybody. You're not the most technically amazing guitarist. Much of what you're doing is somewhat simple as far as guitar playing goes.
No one started playing guitar because of Jim Martin. Probably. Not very many.
Yeah, you probably count on your hand the amount of people that picked up a guitar because of Jim Martin.
Probably the same amount of people that started singing because of Chuck Mosley.
And probably the same amount of people that started a podcast because of you.
You're one.
I know, I'm one. So you got 4 more fingers to go.
I think my other co-host, Andrew, actually might be too, actually. He says he might want to start his own podcast too now. So there you go, yeah.
I probably won't start my own podcast, but I appreciate you having me on my maiden voyage.
Yeah, you'll let me do all the heavy lifting. I appreciate that. All the editing and releasing and paying for the feed. Thanks, brother.
Sounds perfect.
You're filleted Ruben's shoes nicely.
I just slid right in.
My job never changed. All right. Okay, next song, RV. And what does RV stand for again? Recreational vehicle. That's right. I brain fart. I know it's the trailers, the mobile trailers.
Right.
Yeah, recreational vehicle. And I love this one. What should be a silly, maybe a throwaway song. Remember, I love all these songs, so you're not going to get my guess till the end. And I'm not giving it away by saying this. I'm just saying, RV is such a silly, different song, and you think, but it's about a trailer park trash dad. Every time I listen to the song, I see the music video that they never filmed in my head for the song. The story plays out,
and you feel bad for the dude.
Yeah, Mike Patton really creates a character here in this.
Yeah, and the way the song again, it kind of starts off a little bit for me weak, and it might be this is an easy target, but the way that they finish the song,
yeah,
strengthens the song.
love how Mike sings at the end. Let's get to that right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Let's go back to his talking part. He just has a cool voice even when he talks. Like the DNA blessed him with a vocal that just sounds cool even when he talks.
Yeah.
When he sings that part that we showed at the beginning of that crescendo of this trailer park guy, he keeps in character of a guy who maybe fancies himself a singer, isn't quite that good of a singer, but kind of belts out a half decent type belting out part of the song. And he stays in character. It's not great singing, but it's great singing for this trailer park guy.
Yeah, he just took on a persona and carried it through the whole way.
Yeah, like he stayed in character of a guy who can't quite sing. He's a little bit. I just love how he does that, bellowing out. The moment in this guy's life where he's showing the world that he can, what he thinks is singing, and his moment to shine.
And also the band itself. I mean, it's very different than the way many of these songs are put together, with tons of sampling, sound effects, that typical Faith No More bass drum rhythm section. It's a very just stripped down sound that separates itself from the rest of the album, but stays in Faith No More character. Yeah.
So the fifth song of the album, Smaller and Smaller.
Love it. Love that darkness.
Sorry, what were we saying there?
Oh, it's good. I just love the darkness. The darkness of the way the song starts.
So again, another non-conventional type sounding song. Like this isn't going to drown the airways of radio.
No, it's not. I love the kind of dark foreboding of that song.
Yeah, I do too. Because it's called Smaller and Smaller, and you feel claustrophobic when you listen to it. You feel like the song is closing in on you in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a darker song, especially coming after RV, which is kind of a jovial, fun song. This one comes in a very dark, sinister, and the screaming again, and you can hear the Mike Patton sound effect that he does, and I've seen him do it on stage on YouTube, where he's got that voice box machine or whatever, so he screams in it, he's able to warble things and go up and down with it and stuff. And
what I'm finding interesting is Jim Martin, I think, felt with the direction of this album, not very, maybe highlighting some of his guitar, but as I listened to it, I mean, at the time, I remember when he had left, and I remember some of the comments is like he wasn't guitar driven enough. I think he felt dismissed from the rest of the band, maybe jealous of Mike's influence on the direction that they were going. But you couldn't have had this album without his guitar.
Yeah, it's prevalent in every song.
It is. And so I think there's a jealousy thing there going on more than anything.
I felt that way from the very beginning, and that's kind of what I'm leaning towards that too. And I hate that term because it sounds petty, but I guess they were still kind of youngish back then, 28 years ago. I think Jim was probably pretty close to Chuck. I think they were the beginning of that band, and this is now the fourth album. Mike Patton, this kid comes in, this maverick Top Gun dude comes in and shows everyone how it's done, and he maybe felt like, hey, dude, we've been doing this long before you were, out of junior high.
Right. Yeah.
And Jim's a little bit more old guard. He's a little bit more old guard. I think, there might have been...
this is my pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So understandable. I don't begrudge Jim. It's just too bad. I think Mike did not drive Jim out. I think Mike might be eccentric. Mike Patton might be eccentric. He might be a little bit weird, but I don't think he's ever... He works with a lot of people. You don't hear anyone saying like Mike Patton's a jerk.
Have you asked Axl Rose?
Yeah, I know. But Axl Rose is no... Axl, and I love Axl, but he's an easy target, man. And I think Mike Patton knew that.
Yeah. Hey, here's some orange juice, Axl, if anybody knows that story.
Yeah. That's Mike Patton being... If Axl was a jokester back, it wouldn't have been gone anywhere. But Axl does not have a sense of humor, I don't think. I know.
No, especially when it's directed his way. Axl likes Andrew Dice Clay.
That's weird. That's weird.
Wow, I think they're just friends.
Yeah.
Andrew probably likes Axl more than Axl likes Andrew.
Like, I wonder what makes Axl laugh. But Axl Rose is a harsh critic on himself already, and I think anyone that adds to that, because we know that he's a perfectionist. I think being a perfectionist by nature, whereas Mike Patton's probably not a perfectionist. I think he's just naturally pretty awesome at what he does, but I don't think he gives a flying, you know what, if it comes out, however it comes out. He does it, he creates it, and moves on. Whereas Axl mauls and mauls over things and takes too long. He paints himself into a creative corner, I think, by doing that.
Yeah, he's already self-critical, so if anybody's even remotely critical of him is devastating.
I'm sure Mike Patton has read reviews on his albums or heard them. Do you think he cares?
Probably not much.
No. So, yeah. Interesting.
Fun little side.
Yeah, sure. Small and smaller. Yeah. That's there's a part in the song. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Yeah, I love this part here. It's probably Mike Patton doing some sort of chant, but then he's doing that voice chant. There's just a sounds.
Oh yeah,
and then the build up that comes up here. You're talking about Jim Martin and his guitar,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you could not have that song without Jim Martin. And it's unfortunate he didn't feel...
Maybe he was mad that Mike Patton had his little vocal show there before the guitar. I don't know. Yeah, a little bit more of a radio-friendly one kicks in. I believe Everything's Ruined was a single, if I remember correctly. Yes. Everything's Ruins, the next track on the album, and it was their fourth single from this album. Let's check this one out. I love this song. Again, the piano, it's Faith No More, and then Billy Gold's bass comes in. If that doesn't sound like Faith No More.
It's unbelievable. I mean, just...
So I think there was a very creative choice to put this kind of near the middle of the album. They experimented a little bit with caffeine and smaller, it's a little bit dark, and this kind of comes in a little bit like, hey, don't worry, They're still very Faith No More, very bass and guitar, and this speaks to why it was a single as well. This gets on the airwaves. It's still very Faith No More without shocking the audience, so to speak.
Yeah, still a step up from
anything on
this album.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of a bounce. It's got a little bit of pop. It's got like you can kind of, I don't know about dance. Like I'm not really a dancer, but you know what I mean. You can see people being able to gravitate towards this type of sound. Listening to it in their car.
Oh yeah, I love this part here. Mike Patton's low singing that he does here. Again, very anti-nasal, and he gets into a very low tone octave. And then Jim's guitar playing, his guitar solo. I love that line there, though. He made us proud, he made us rich, and how are we to know he's counterfeit? I love that line, the way it sounds when he sings it. And then, of course, this song ends with, a penny won't do. Oh, no, a penny won't do. What it all means, I have no idea, but everything's ruined.
Yes, everything is. It's definitely a safe, of all these songs on this album, it's definitely a safe radio song, or at least one of the safer ones from the album, that is for sure. I think it's a solid song. I like the fact that he's almost just straight up singing. How I was kind of critical about a couple songs on The Real Thing, the way that he just kind of sang through it. I feel differently about the way that he sang through this song. He sounds like he's actually enjoying the singing. He's having fun with it. He doesn't come across as being bored. That's the only word I can really kind of use right now, but he sounds...
Challenge. How's that?
Yeah, he sounds challenged. It's not straight across singing, but it is more just a singing a song. I like it.
Again, they gave us that safe kind of, this is a single, and if you're hearing this album for the first time, going track by track, Malpractice comes in, it kicks you in the teeth.
And a straight up Patton song.
It's a straight up Patton song. And when you hear it, you're like, of course, this is all Patton. I love that when he's screaming, the crowd roars, and he's screaming that.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? With everything's ruined, you thought we were going to go do the real thing the rest of the way? No. No, we're not. We're going to do Malpractice and carry on with Angel Dust.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, they remind you that you're on a different journey here with Angel Dust than you were with the real thing.
Yeah, and I remember listening to this song for the first time, and I thought, are we in a torture chamber?
Yeah, the creaky sound.
Chamber? Yeah, those are either the device where it pulls people's limbs off, or are we listening to dungeon doors opening, creaking open, or it gave me that Malpractice, kind of like, are we in a dilapidated surgery room or experimental room or something? Yeah, I gave you that creep out vibe.
It's a song at first, when you first heard it, when I was young, teenager, I wasn't behind it, but it challenged me. And I appreciate now more than ever that it did challenge me, because I love the journey that it takes you on. You listen to what actually Mike Patton is doing. It's not a conventional song. And the fact that they threw this on an album, the record label probably were just like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? This is Mike Patton saying, you know what? I've got the equipment, I've got the budget, I'm going to do a Mike Patton song. You guys want to play it? And they did.
Right. He's like, I gave you Everything's Ruined. I can have Malpractice.
Yeah, that's right. This is That's right. Now, well, speaking of which, the next song is Kindergarten, and I love Kindergarten. This is, again, a little bit more of not a safe song, but It's a song that was a single as well, I believe. My bad. This was not a single, but it's a song that could have been a single. And what I love about the song, though, is I actually love the lyrics and the journey that this kid is having as a kindergartner.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to enjoy that or envision it, but it's done in a way where he's talking about how the drinking fountains are shorter than they used to be because he's growing. The kid's growing.
Yeah, he's walking through the halls differently than when he was younger. 5-year-old kindergarten student.
A very Jim Martin heavy song again. I love that one. Maybe one day I'll be royalty, carving my names in a tree that will never leave. I love that.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the song I really love. The build up at the end. I want to get to it here. This part here, I really like this part in kindergarten where it gets a little bit heavy and dark at the end. Mike Patton's a little kind of his. I don't know how to describe the sing talk that he does, but he does it here really well. The bass.
Oh, I know the bass.
I love that. Walking outside.
Yeah. Everything got quiet suddenly. No Dolby. And the theater's empty. Film is flapping on the side of the projector. The reel is over. Like, unbelievable storytelling. The way that he phrases that through his singing is genius.
Agreed. Agreed, yeah.
I love that.
The 9th song on the album, side 2 at this point, if you're listening on tape cassette, is the song Be Aggressive. So this is another song of levity, kind of in the same vein as RV, is Be Aggressive. This is the one where you have the cheerleaders singing along in the chorus. It's kind of a fun, hokey song. It's a fun song. It's lighthearted. For those that know the song, know what it's about. We don't have to say it on our PG show, but here's a sample of the song. It's got really that dark beginning, and you're like, but then it turns into kind of
that carnival.
Yeah, exactly. You can almost hear the girls laughing as they're doing this singing. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
That's the sample of that song there. It's a fun song. Again, if you know the song and know the band, you know what it's about. If you don't know, go ahead and Google it. Okay.
I think it's a follow-up to Epic.
If you know what that song's about, yeah. It's the next step. It's the next step.
This is why, they had to do that album first, and they had to follow it up and finish it off with this album.
Yeah. If you can't be aggressive, you can be epic. All right. I remember when this song was released as a single because the music video was so high-end, so good quality. It really adds to the song. It's a small victory, incredible song, incredible music video, and I don't think they've ever topped this music video. Mike Patton sings the song pretty straight for the most part, but he does a lot of good vocal stuff, little patterns there.
Oh, it is a very straight across singing for the most part, but it fits the song.
Yeah.
If you kind of read the lyrics, it's just...
Yeah, it's more of, a mature, it's maybe their Civil War song. It's still done in the Faith No More vein, but it's a little bit more of a message. It's not the silly song the Be Aggressive was, or RV, so to speak, or the challenging song of Caffeine and Malpractice. But it's a kind of a serious song in the sense of the subject matter and the point they're trying to get across. The part that I really love is the kind of the cacophony of crescendo here with the sound effects and between Mike Patton and the boys in the band here. Check this out. I love that.
Yeah, the synth going in there, that extra effect that provides, as kind of a more hard rock, heavy metal background, but enjoying this band, it made having those keyboards on stage and in the song work, and it did feel cool. That song would be so different if they didn't have the ability to use those synthesizers to add effect.
Let's see here. Who wrote that? Yeah, this was a band effort. Gold, Bottom, Board, and Patton. The only one that didn't musically contribute, so to speak, was Jim. When they get the credit to music, people who know music writing better than me, I always wonder about this because obviously Jim had to come and do his guitars. I would suspect that he would,
On this BMG rights management, it says songwriters include Jim. Now, music is one thing, and then lyrics is another thing. Small victory. On the Wikipedia, it doesn't show him involved in the music, but songwriters here, in this, what I'm looking at, it includes Jim.
Yeah, well, it's always a collaborative effort. My understanding was they sent Jim the music, the parts of their playing, and then Jim would add his guitar. He wasn't there in the studio with them.
Oh, okay.
Jim was pulling an axle. I will say this next song is my favorite song that has Hitler in the title.
Yeah. It's rare that Hitler can be brought up in such a positive way.
Yeah. What a great title, Crack Hitler. Very Mr. Bungle title, let's be honest. That's Mike Patton title in that song.
Oh, for sure. And of course he's trying to push people's buttons and they see that.
He's 23. You think how young he is. He's 23.
Yeah,
he's 4 years away from being a teenager. He's being a little bit punk, a little bit in your face, Crack Hitler. But I love how he says Crack Hitler in the song. He throws it in. I love the beginning intro. Again, Jim Martin's guitar play on the song. And he has a music credit on this song, so there you go. I love that build up, and I love Mike Patton's vocal sound.
These lyrics, I'm reading the lyrics as you're playing that, and these lyrics tells quite the story. Well, just even that first part there, sink the 8-ball, buy the lady a drink, and nobody knows my name. Bodies float up from the bottom of the river like bubbles in fine champagne.
Oh, wow.
He's the one, no doubt, walking on the tightrope. He's the one, no doubt. And it just carries on. Another line, and a shadow called danger, hiding in the sheets and on the streets in the hearts of every stranger. Like these, yeah, it's quite the story. So here's when he does use Hitler in a song. It's in quotes. In regards to the usage of the drug, it modified my personality to the extent that I was highly irritable. I was like a crack Hitler.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Here's this person who's describing how they're feeling, going through whatever emotions, and he recognizes that he was just like, I'm not a good person. It altered my personality. I was like a crack Hitler. Interesting.
And I love that song. I do.
I do too. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is such a strong song.
I love how it ends. We won't play with how
Yeah.
I always wonder how did they come up with how do they decide they're going to do that? It's just
I know, because if I walked around going ooh, people are going to look at me and go like, you're weird. But somehow these musicians can do it. They're cool. I don't.
So this last song, the music is credited to Jim. It's just solely Jim.
Right.
And you would think this would be a Mike Patton production, so to speak. It's almost like Jim saying, you know what, fine, Patton, I'll show you, I can do your song type of song too. And I'll tell you what I love about this song, believe it or not, and this is... Why are you laughing?
We'll follow crack Hitler.
Well, do not Google the meaning of this song. If you don't, put it this way, if you don't know what this name could mean, I'll tell you. When I was 16, Stay naive. When I was 16, I didn't know what this meant.
You gotta watch Silence of the Lambs to start to figure it out.
I wouldn't even say the name of this. Yeah. One. So the name of the song is it's the one that follows Crack Hitler. I'll leave it at that. My mom listens to this show, so you know what? I'm not even gonna say the title. I can't even say it.
So it's song number 12.
There you go.
It's song 12.
It's the last song on the album. It's a closer. Now I know there's been other releases that had Midnight Cowboy and Easy and As the Worm Turns, but again, we're going with the original release of the album. Even so, even if Midnight Cowboy was on the original release, I think it was for us. It's a cover song from the movie Midnight Cowboy, and of course, Easy instrument, and it's an instrumental. And Easy is a cover song, and As the Worm Turns was a previously unreleased track from their first album, but with Mike Patton singing. Okay.
Thankfully, you have those rules in place, because Easy would have been the pick.
Well, yeah. Again, it was same with War Pigs. So the two covers are the weakest tracks.
Yeah. And then again, instrumentally, Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
Even though it's a remake of a song, it's very good.
Yes.
Musically. Which is rare on these albums when they just play music and it's actually good. But anyway.
So here's a sample of the song JL.
JL. You're a grown-ass man, Ryan. You can say it.
This has a feeling of a Mike Patton sound, but it's a Jim Martin production. But you could argue it has a very Black Sabbath-y feel to it. There's two parts of the song that make the song amazing. This is why Jim wanted this song, because he wanted to do this. He wanted to do this once on the album. Patton comes in with some screaming that's just amazing, and then the Jim Martin crunchy guitar. And I think Jim just wanted to ride that crunchy guitar all the way through. Check it out. That's his nod to Metallica, I think.
Oh, for sure. That portion of the song is amazing.
And I think it's Jim's way of saying, see, guys, this is where I wanted us to go. And he left with that song. The ending of the song, I'm going to play it because I love how the song ends, because it ends with Patton singing a little bit more cleaner vocal, but in a low octave, and it bleeds into that great ethereal cathedral type music by Roddy Bottum on the synth. What a perfect ending to the album.
Right.
That's Angel Dust.
The ability to pick the worst song is easier for me than it is to pick the best song.
What is your best song on this album?
I actually really don't know. Picking the worst song is easier. I don't know if I could pick legit one song over all of them.
Give us your worst pick.
Yeah. Before I do, this is a masterpiece in production. No one would ever listen to this and think that this album was put together in 1992. It could have been done yesterday and no one would think anything of it. But as Mike Patton sang, I'm sorry, in the last song, that is my pick for the worst song on the album, Jizzlobber.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Sorry, Martin. And Martin, Jim Martin. You didn't want to be a part of this band anymore.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
And this is your big writing credit on the album?
Wow, savage. It's Jason coming in savage.
I'm coming in hard. RV for me was close, but I just don't know if I can listen to this song over. The little middle piece where it's really heavy, I love, but just as a song in general, to throw that on over and over and over again, it would get old for me. RV provides just a little bit more, barely, just a little bit more.
I hear you. Unlike our last talking about the real thing, where we could kind of see why we picked what we picked. I have a hard time seeing I understand what you're saying. I think I felt that way when I first listened to this song back in the day, but it's a song that over time, I love the power ending, and it saves it for me.
Actually, it's the reverse for me. I quite liked it. I hadn't really thought much really one way or the other with it. But as listening to this album a couple times the last day or so, I just don't know if I would really want to hear that over and over again. If I had to put a song on repeat, I'm not sure if that's the one I would want to hear over and over again. RV is for me a close second. But I just think it's easier to stomach over a longer period. If one song was on repeat more than the other.
Interesting.
Kind of how I'm viewing this decision. Anyway, so yeah, track 12.
I'm leaning towards what you're saying regarding RV, but my argument comes in with RV and Be Aggressive. We already had with RV kind of a light comedic song that's a little bit silly, a little bit fun. And this album is not a fun album. It's not meant to be, quote unquote, a happy-go-lucky type album. It is heavy, it's dark, it's aggressive. Speaking of Be Aggressive, it's a punch in the gut, in the face. And that's kind of why I like Jizzlobber over these other twos, because it ends the album with a hardness, and then it ends with that little soft melody at the end of Rodney Bottum's playing.
If you put that song in the middle of the album, you might not have that sense.
Maybe not. I do look at this as a whole, though, as an opening and closing song, because you got the Land of Sunshine and then this closing. To me, it makes sense. However,
yeah, for sure.
But however, RV and Be Aggressive, I feel like we already had RV, and so when Be Aggressive rolls along, it's a song that has aged poorly for me. Both of what it's about, I don't think it ages very well. I can see why a 23-year-old wrote it. I'm just looking at it through 44-year-old eyes as well. I think it was a fun, silly song to sing along with as a teenager. And the girls singing their little chorus. I'm never a fan of spelling in songs. How do you spell it? B-E-B-A-G-R-E-S-S-I-V. It's like, M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Like, spelling in songs has never been fun for me. That's my worst pick.
Could you imagine you having to pick Respect? The song Respect. Is that
R-E-S-P-C-T-I-A.
Oh, classic. You stumped on that one.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. At the end of the day, it hasn't aged as well for me, and I could be happy if I never heard it again. And I don't put this song ever to listen to. When I'm listening to this album, I'll skip it.
Okay, that is interesting. You know what's also interesting is only one band member wrote that song as well. Bottom. One band member wrote the song Be Aggressive. You're right. I mean, probably behind RV, that's a fairly weak song. For the most part, only one band member wrote Jizzlobber, and that's the one I picked. Mike Patton may have had some help on the lyrics on that one, but as far as songwriting goes, it's basically a Jim Martin song. Two or three of the weaker tracks are
not a band effort.
Not really a band effort.
And that's not surprising. Any band that you like, whoever's listening, think of a band that you like and think of that same band if they had a solo project from that band. I guarantee it wasn't as good as the band stuff. There's something to be said about a collaborative effort.
Ask Duff McKagan. His solo career. His solo career went.
Bless his heart, eh? Bless his heart. But no, he's part of a bigger project, and it's just weird how some people just, not every band, but not everyone could be a Phil Collins,
or Michael Jackson.
Or Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael Jackson is an extreme example, stepping away from the band and eclipsing your previous efforts. There you go. That's it. That's how it goes. Remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud, and we're here to help you find that. Jason, thank you so much for guest hosting, and we hope to have you on again.
I hope this becomes a more regular part of my life. It was fun. Yeah, maybe I won't have to invite myself next time. Maybe
blood's thicker than water. I'm sure we'll have you on again.
I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me a chance to do this. It is my first time ever being on a podcast. I hope I didn't drive away the one last downloader that you have, our mom. Hopefully she's willing to.
She might not have downloaded part 2. Mike Patton scared her.
Anyway, it was fun. Hope I can do this again with you, Ryan.
You bet. It. Of course. Okay. All right. Take care, brother.
Yep. Bye-bye.